Builders abandoning sites. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's look at this article discussing, well, another builder who seems to just be abandoning their site. So, yeah, this is ongoing. We're in the middle of, well, I'm calling it a construction apocalypse. It seems to be focusing on the housing sector. We have to remember the housing sector has been overheated. I'm going to bring up this chart here that I do every time just to remind those of you at how much the government has done to juice the market. Okay? Insane cash rates, home builder handed out, and okay, you get 15 grand, maybe 25 grand if you're lucky. But for that, you get a insanely overheated housing market, everyone rushing to build at the same time, and a whole bunch of supply issues. Now we've got 5 and 2% home loans. South Australia is jumping on the 2% home loan wagon. 2% deposit home loans. I was watching, or no, wasn't watching. I was listening to an episode of Dave Ramsey as I was driving out to a project meeting this morning. And in it, there was a guy who got into a house in the States, so the loan was only like $200,000. And he got in at a super low rate, and he was struggling. He could barely keep up with all the payments. Or you could hear the stress in his overwhelming this poor guy. We're going to be hearing those stories soon. So what we're seeing here, it didn't just come out of the blue. Okay, it's not just suddenly happening. This is because the market has been juiced up, guys, and now pigeons are coming home to roost. And don't forget also, they allowed people to trade while insolvent. Okay, so, and it's bad enough anyway in the construction sector with so many people paying you late, let alone when they let you they bend the rules so you can. So, fears of Melbourne construction companies on the brink of collapse. Now, here's the problem. Once it hits the news, that could, in some ways, that could spell the end. We had one viewer leave a comment on a recent video about Metricon with their GM quitting. And, well, they're saying once it hits the news, it's probably game over. That's one thing we're taught at architectural school is when you're administering a contract, you have to be very careful with what information you share between one party. Because if you could scare a client, they may just withhold payment, and that could be enough to tip someone over, a builder who's right at the edge. Hopefully it wouldn't get to that point. So stressed out homeowners fear they could go broke or fail to finish half-built homes after builder disappeared and hasn't answered calls or emails. Maybe he's just on a public holiday, They are in Melbourne. They have a lot of public holidays. You don't really appreciate how many public holidays exist until you run a business and employ people. So, a Melbourne builder has disappeared, placing homeowners under horrendous amounts of stress as they are left with half-finished homes they have poured hundreds of thousands into that they may struggle to complete. One family impacted are Dean and Noel Fuller, who have 5 kids between them and have already shelled out 480 grand to the builder called Blint since signing on in January. 480 grand. The couple had demolished their existing home last November and had engaged Blint Builders to build 2 townhouses for $1.5 million, due to be delivered early next year. Okay, so I'm assuming it's one for them and one to rent out. I mean, it sounds smart move. That's what if you've got the land, divide and conquer, Too bad. I mean, when did they start? January. The slab for the 2 homes was laid, and the first floor framing has been done on both. But then work started to slow down in the middle of the year, according to Mr. Fuller. But the 54-year-old said alarm bells really started to sound when his wife drove past the site in the first week of June and discovered that the portaloo had been taken away and a tradie was on site collecting his materials. Okay. I mean, a portaloo ain't that expensive. I've got one on my side here. It's costing me, $5 a day, including getting someone to come out and clean it. So the fact, you're talking very little money there, but yeah. She then went straight to the builder's office, only to discover it was locked up, and her calls went unanswered. Yeah, if they can't pay their $150 a month in Portaloo fees, they're kind of screwed. And there's a shortage of them there. You got. There's lots of work at the moment. You got to get those Portaloos. Now that's an interesting business to get into. Portaloos and renting them out. 2 days later, let me know in the comments if you're in that game. I mean, if there's a way you could turn it into some, online version, like get an app, order a Portaloo. I guess you don't need to, but anyway. I'm just dreaming of becoming a Portaloo king. 2 days later, on June 9th, the owner of Blink told the Fullers he was going into voluntary administration. But since then, they've heard nothing, with emails and phone calls left unanswered and the office empty. Oh, there you go. So he went under. He's gone under. I mean, it started. But the problem is you take on another builder, they've got to assess everything that's there. They're taking on the legal liability for all the previous work done. So they're taking on someone else's risk. So that adds another cost to it. So the building site targeted. The building sites have been broken into, leaving a mess, Mr. Fuller said. In that time, we've had 2 lots of vandalising and trespassing and damage caused to our property, which has been lodged with police. We've had a truck back up and dump 3 to 4 square meters of rubble and waste material on the property, and the truck also smashed the gates down. Recently, someone turned up and installed the electrical meter box within the property. The project manager said the experience has caused an unbelievable amount of stress and anxiety. We have $500,000 outlaid on something that is still sitting there, and sitting on a block that is wasting away and not covered by insurance potentially. We're in a situation that we may be forced to compromise significantly on what's our dream home to build. We're financially impacted and may have to sell off things to complete the build, as there have been cost increases and delays. The property we have might have to be stripped right back to be rebuilt, notwithstanding that we've got to pay rent, and then we have to be out of this rental by Christmas. Shit, that's the worst part about it. If you need to extend the lease, find a way to extend your rental if you can. Yeah. Mr. Fuller said his family would have to negotiate to stay in the rental, meaning his, including 3 of their children, would be forced to be crammed into a small property for another 10 to 12 months. Whoop-de-doo. Who cares about that? I mean, come on. I mean, is that the journalist adding that onto it to make it sound like it's a big deal? And this is from someone who's living with 6 children, his wife, and sister-in-law in a tiny duplex right now. You got to do it. Get a couple of bunk beds in there, she'll be fine. She'll be right, mate. He added it had been almost impossible to find out information, but all we want to do is build a house. Instead, they're left in limbo. Yeah, if they're in liquidation or if they're in voluntary administration, we have to find out if they get liquidated or not, or if they can resurrect, which I doubt they will. It takes a lot of time and hours with pursuing legal options. Between the HIA, the banks and insurance companies, it's relentless. Yeah, he needs to extend his lease. There's no way this shit's going to be resolved before Christmas. No way at all. We are all sitting on insurance policies, but because the trigger is Blink going into VA, none of us can trigger the insurance policies. So we're sitting on property we can't do anything with, as we can't engage new builders. Well, you need to file claims against Blink for breach of contract. You need to go on. You need to try and wind them up to force them to go into administration. Mr. Phillips said it was frustrating experience. He just wanted answers from the builder. Well, the builder can't afford to pay their bloody porta potty fees. They're screwed. They're in trouble. I mean, there you go. The office is empty. You can sell that. You won't get much for it. Yeah, I mean, it's been stripped. There's still some chairs. They're not worth anything, though. Blint's office in the Melbourne suburb of Hyatt has also been seized by the landlord. Legal documents posted on the front door show the landlord has executed their right to re-entry, terminating the lease and demanding all property be removed and the keys returned. I remember when there was, this is going to sound terrible, it was an architectural practice that was going under and the landlord had moved in. So we rocked up there with some other people because apparently there was, just selling everything in the office. So we tried to get a laser cutter we wanted to buy real dirt cheap, but the landlord locked everyone out. I mean, that's, vultures trying to pick apart a failing business. It happens. And a viewer started sending me all the failing construction businesses or businesses that are in the construction sector in voluntary administration or liquidation. And, we'll talk about those in another episode. One thing I'm trying to get is I want to compare and contrast the businesses that are going under and new businesses that are being created. And I can get the data from ASIC, but the data's so big, I can't open it in Excel, so I need to find another way to get into the data so we can just do a comparison, a ratio of how much destruction there is to how much creation there is. Because there'll be an emphasis on businesses going under, but obviously there are going to be opportunities arise out of this. The sad part is all the people that are stuck in the middle, with half-finished houses. This is what happens when you juice up the market. You can't handle it. Anyway, the legal notice also revealed that Blint builders owe the landlord close to $14,000 in unpaid rent and rates. They're in trouble. Emails to Blint are undeliverable, while news.com.au has called, left voicemails, sent text messages to the builder, has heard nothing back. Yeah, they're gone. They're gone, guys. Another family who is under horrendous strain are Tony and Joe Furman and their two kids, who are building a home specially designed for her disability. Oh no, that's going to make it even tougher. So, has multiple sclerosis, and the couple were building a home to meet her needs in Melbourne. It included a swimming pool. They had demolished the original home and signed up to build their $1.2 million house with Blint, which was scheduled to be finished in mid-February. The couple said they paid $1.14 million so far to the builder, and the house is at lock-up stage, but no work has happened since June, according to Mr. Furman. There is no carpet, and it hasn't been painted. And there are serious defects that need to be rectified, so there's still quite a bit of work. The 51-year-old said he even went to Blint's office twice in June to find out about the progress of his home. But since then, the builder has disappeared off the face of the earth. With Mr. Furman's calls and emails going unanswered, he claims. Yeah, they're gone. They're gone. It went from talking to him every day to never ringing me back and never hearing from him, he said. Being left in limbo has taken the toll with the online retailer, saying he's never felt more depressed in my life. It's a massive strain on us as a family, both financially as we're paying rent, as well as paying off part of the house that we can't even live in as we've no occupancy certificate, he added. I mean, there you go. I wouldn't take too much to get it up to speed. But I guess, he's 54. He can get in there and do the carpeting himself, couldn't he? And the painting. I guess it gets harder when you get younger, or when you get older. You're not young anymore. Mr. Furman said they can't get a payout from the insurance company until Blint goes into liquidation, and it could cost us a lot of money to force that to happen through the courts. Even with the full insurance payout, it might not be enough money. We skimped and saved and borrowed quite a substantial amount of money. We are worried we won't have enough money to repay the loan and be able to live, he said. I fear this will send us broke. It's very touch and go for us at the moment. My daughter turns 21 next month, and her only wish was to have the party at the new house, and that won't happen. So, dad of 3, Jamie, has also signed up with Blint in March 2021 to renovate and extend their 2-bedroom house in the Melbourne suburb of Murrumbina for $730,000. The family had planned a double-story addition out the back with a new kitchen, living area and kids' bedrooms, and are currently living in a rental. Jamie said the work was slow going and the family had forked out $600,000 so far. Now they're left with a half-built home even though it was due for completion in April, and he describes the site as quite derelict. I mean, that's nearly done. You could... Here's the problem. I'll see something like this, and I'll think, okay, get a few tradies out here, just do it, make some phone calls. But you can't, can you? Because you're not owner-building it. It's the builder's job. It's their responsibility. And that looks beautiful, doesn't it? It would look great. You need him to go under so you can just kick on. Jamie confronted the builder at his house in June and was told Roger Ridey had been appointed to handle the voluntary administrators. But when he contacted the insolvency specialist firm, he told there was no case, and Roger Ridey also confirmed that they'd not been appointed. Now he can't get in touch with Blint, with the phone turned off and emails unanswered. Okay, the site's, yeah. It's just been, well, you can't blame the subbies for not working on it if they're not getting paid. We saw the story, that Bricky owed $500,000. You can't blame him. This is what has to happen. You got to walk away from these type of jobs when they're not paid. The 43-year-old said he just wants to be able to finish his home, even if it costs the family an extra $50,000. It cost him more than that, mate. But he's been left in limbo, and he's exhausted and frustrated. News.com understands a number of suppliers are also owed money from Blint. Yeah, well, let's have a talk about this. There you go, guys. Let's have a look at their website. Let's jump over here. So is this them? 13 reviews. 2 years ago. Yep. So all good. One very average builder 7 months ago. So they may get in trouble there, but everything else seems good. A month ago. Do not use, no integrity. Promised to come and fix up mistakes, still waiting. Just stopped answering phone calls, emails. So disappointing. Yeah, they went in trouble. Here we go. Here's Rod. Regarding Peter Jerd's feedback, I take genuine feedback seriously. Firstly, let me say that I've been through all my records since 2000. With Blints, have no record of Peter Jones. Leaving feedback is a very powerful tool. It should only be used reasonably. Okay, so who's Peter Jones? What's that? Someone who left a negative response. So is this the guy? Is this Rod? What's he contributed? Reviews, answers. Okay, so there they are. Yeah. So this is him. Let's have a look at some of their stuff. So nice quality houses. You know. Yeah. Let's check out some of their projects. Let's look at Kangaroo. Familiar, isn't it? It's a nice render. Not quite like that in reality, is it? You know? Yeah. Nice render, mate. But there you go. So they're building architecturally designed houses and extensions. And looks like they've just run into some trouble, guys. So I finished recording this video and I noticed something that I thought I should cut into this here now. Let's jump over to this screen here. Now, this is Ron's reviews that he's got. You know, he's got some in Melbourne for some places that he did 3 years ago. But then there's a few reviews he's done a month ago. There's 2 that he's done a month ago in Thailand. In Thailand. So he's on holiday. So this is where Ron's going on holiday. There he's on a Thai holiday as his company has, well, looks like it's closed down, hasn't it? It's going to voluntary administration. So he's not answering his phone calls, not answering emails, and he's done a runner to Thailand for a holiday. Bloody hell. I mean, I've seen this before. I had a guy in a business group. He was a plumber. Short little guy. I swear, he's like half a midget or something. He couldn't hold his piss for anything. We'd take him to the German club and he'd fall over after 2 beers. But he went overseas and just burned through all his money before he went phoenixing. So, I mean, I'm not that I'm saying what's going on here, but how the hell can you afford a holiday when you can't even afford to keep a Portaloo on your site? You tell me that. You tell me that, guys. Okay? So, I mean, here, Ron's saying, I've been here 2 weeks now with friends. I mean, maybe his friends paid for it. You know, maybe they're worried about him. He's stressing out. That could be it. I've got no idea. But I'm just... It looks dodgy. You tell me. So I've been treated with the highest standard. So he likes it. And there's another one. Where is it? Don't dog pile onto these businesses. You know, a restaurant and bar. So this is why... No one's getting in touch with this guy because he's in Thailand on a holiday. Shit. Hey, for all we know, this holiday could have been planned ages ago. And, you know, he's paid for it already. It may not be enough to save his business. And he's just got to take it. Maybe he needs it now more than anything. You know, that's the thing. Anyway, guys. So, yeah. I noticed that, and I thought it would be worth mentioning. What do you reckon? Let me know your take on this, because this is messy. Everyone's going to lose here. The homeowners, they've got half-finished houses. They can't even progress with getting a new builder on board because the voluntary administration hasn't been kicked in yet. You know, the subbies, hopefully they've all gotten paid. The builder, I mean, I guess he's had a holiday in Vietnam. Or in Thailand, you know, I mean, you get good bang for buck there. I don't know, honestly. I can't relate to that. You know, you want to keep your business going no matter what. You want to pay your debts no matter what. You want to keep your commitments. You tell me, guys. Those of you in small business, what's this look like? Okay? What does it look like? The only time I've seen this type of behavior is... my dodgy plumber mate that phoenixed. That's the only time I've seen it. You tell me. Anyway, guys, hang on. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can help out. Financially via YouTube or Patreon, using our referral links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve or AussieBroadband, buying our pocket squares or calling us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. I should go on a Thailand holiday. That'd be awesome, guys. Take the kids. What will I do? No, I'll just go camping. We'll just go camping up the sunny coast. Petrol will make that expensive. Cheaper to go to Thailand.